Hello and welcome to another episode of the Studio 78 podcast. I am your host, Nache from NacheSnow.com. Welcome. This week I have LaKaye back on the podcast, co-hosting. Welcome, LaKaye.
Well, how do you do, Nache? How do you do?
How do you do? And remember, you can find LaKaye at LaKayeUmba.com, and she is in Hampton Roads. And if you need some photos taken, she is your woman, right?
Absolutely. I'd be honored.
Okay, so today, folks, we are talking about finances. And let me tell you, sometimes people get funny when it comes to talking about money. I love talking about money. I do. And I think that we as women need to talk about it more. Sometimes we tend to shy away from it for various reasons, either because we were taught money was like the root of all evil, or because we're not in the right place, so we're embarrassed to talk about money, or we were taught that it's not polite to talk about money and numbers and figures or whatever it is, but we need to get over it. And also, if you're married too, sometimes it's like, oh, well, my husband has this. Now, my friend, you need to know what the financial situation is, regardless if you're bringing home the bacon or not. So we're going to talk about money today. We're going to build your money confidence. We're going to give you some practical tips on how you can start saving for the future and for your goals and get to where you need to be. Now, one disclaimer I want to say is we are not financial advisors. We are just normal people giving our little advice. So definitely pay or go to a free financial advisor to really get some information. But what we're doing is just kind of sharing what we've learned as we've educated ourselves, what worked, what hasn't worked. And I'll tell you, for me, in my 20s, I was single and not really making that much and getting out of $40,000 worth of debt. In my 30s, I was married, so I had the dual income. And by that time, I was debt free and that was great. And then now in my 40s, I'm divorced and I'm single, but I make a lot more money than I did in my 20s. And so I can really talk about just all the different seasons of life you could be in with finances, except for really two things. One, I've always had a 9-to-5 job. So people who are full-time entrepreneurs, I ask them questions on a podcast, and they have given advice over the last several seasons. And LaKaye here also can talk about that a little bit. And also, I have no children. And so that is a whole extra expense. And there are just some things that you need to consider if you have a child or two or three or four. And I can't speak to that. And so some of this can apply to everyone, I feel like, in every situation. But what we want to inspire you to do is really educate yourself, get in the right money mindset, and start making moves so you can live that rich life that you deserve. Thoughts, LaKaye? Anything you would like to share?
Oh, I have so much. But first, I would like to explain to your listeners why I'm speaking to you in such an elevated, eloquent voice. And it's because we're talking about financial wellness. So I wanted to sound the part and I wanted to look the part. So when I awoke this morning in preparation for such an occasion, I can't keep it up.
You know what? And let me tell you guys, if you were watching this on YouTube, so LaKaye did not warn me about this at all. So she's in this beautiful dress, right? She is all dolled up. And then you have me in my t-shirt that I got for free from an event.
No. Your shirt is important. Lean back and let the people know what the shirt says.
Oh, God, yes. I forgot what event it is, but it says Vote Black Love every day. But I am not as fancy as LaKaye.
But see, one of the reasons why, Nache, is because when you were talking about we're both normal people, one of us is the normal person. One of us has figured out the success in how to get this financial wellness. One of us has figured this out. So I had to dress the part so I could feel as fancy as you really are, as wealthy as you really are in real life. That's what it is. So But
It's
you said something interesting about how people are taught that money is bad. In,
mm-hmm.
in preparation for this podcast, well, all of the episodes we've been talking about different types of wellness, but I knew financial wellness was coming. So I did a thought experiment with my class. I teach a bunch of young artists who are aspiring, they want to be professional, they want to make money, but then I asked them, what does money represent? Or I was asking them, what does money mean to you? What
Mm-hmm.
do rich people represent to you? And the comments that I got back were kind of astounding because a lot of them were saying once you get wealthy, you forget where you come from. You don't know how to look back and help the other people. And wealthy
Mm.
people are bad, and rich people do this. And if you have a lot of money, it turns you into a bad person. And so my question to them was, are you a bad person? Because you want to have money, but you have this inner belief that that money itself makes you bad. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of them had this root of all evil type of mentality. So I
Mm-hmm.
talked to them a little bit about for what my belief is that money makes you more of what you already are. So if you are a good person, then you could use your money to do good things or be more of a good person. But if you're a jerk, then you're going to use your money to be a jerk. The
Mm-hmm.
emotion is not in the money. The emotion is in the person. Money is neutral, so you can do with it what you want. That was my whole point. What do you think about that?
No, I love everything you're saying because for some reason, a lot of people believe that, right? You see the 1% that are kind of billionaires or whatever, and you're like, they're bad people, and we're the rest of us are blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, if you stick with that mentality, you're never going to get to where you need to be. Because to me, money is freedom. I rewired my brain to know and believe that if I stay debt free and figure out how to earn more money, then I can not only do the things that I want to do, buy a house, travel, what have you. I can also figure out like how I can help my nieces, be it like summer camp or future college expenses, whatever it might be, right? But I can't do that if I have this terrible money mindset and I'm always broke and I'm not saving and I don't believe in really having a financial plan. And so I think we need to rewire our brains, and especially for our youth, we need to teach them that money is not bad. People can be bad, right? Like with money or not. There are a lot of people with no money that are really, really bad. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people. And there are several wealthy people that we've heard of that give millions of dollars to charities to build houses, to do surgeries for people who can't afford them. And so people are, good or bad, not money, and so this sooner we rewire our brains to like believe that money doesn't make us bad, I feel like the better off we'll be and you can start to move forward.
Okay, Nashay, let's take a step back. You've said this a couple of times. Rewire your brain, rewire your brain. Please tell me and the rest of the people, how do you rewire your brain to prepare yourself for wealth?
Yeah, I mean, so I think there's like a couple things. One, in the show notes, I'm not going to name them all here. I've named them on past YouTube episodes or podcast episodes, is education. Like you have to educate yourself. I can't tell you how many money books I have read, right? I've gone to financial seminars to kind of understand more about back in the day, how to get out of debt, investing, what do you do once you get to where you want to be. But I'm always constantly educating myself. And so I think that is like the first part of getting a better understanding of like how money can work for you. And that money is just that money. It has no character, like good or bad. And then two, I think it's like a conscious effort to like continue to tell yourself, look, money is going to allow me to do X, Y, and Z. And that is good because it will bring happiness and joy. People are like, money can't make you happy. But let me tell you, no money can make you really sad. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
Right.
like, yeah, money can't buy happiness because you have to find your own personal joy or whatever in order to like make you a happy person. But I'll tell you, without having money and being nervous and scared about bills coming up, that's not good. That definitely doesn't make you happy, right? And so to me, it's like I, through the years, constantly told myself, hey, money is going to help me achieve these goals, and it is a good thing. So it's almost like continuing to tell yourself that so you realize how important it is. So to me, it's those two kind of coupled together, the education that kind of informs my thinking, but then me reminding myself that I am doing my financial plan for a reason. And if I stick to it, then I will be in a better place and I'll be happy and I'll be doing the things I want to do. But it takes a while, right? Because you are rewiring how you were programmed potentially as a child or a young adult, whatever.
Yeah. I don't mind sharing with people that my mom was born in the early 40s. So
Mm-hmm.
people of that generation definitely, especially black women of that generation, definitely had to scrimp and save, and the people who had money treated them poorly. So she had what I would consider a negative money mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That rich people did this, and also she had a hard time accepting money.
Mm.
So like all of her, she did amazing things. I'm not trying to diminish any of that at all. She would volunteer, she would help the community, but it was always on a volunteer basis, as if people who help also don't deserve to get money, right?
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think part of my growth challenge over the next coming years is how do I release that mindset, because I look up to my mom so much. She did so much for the community, and now I'm trying to also carry on her legacy. But I want to carry on her legacy and also make money while I do it. So I think those two halves of my brain are in competition. Like, how could this really, really good person reject money so much? But I know, what's the word I'm looking for here? I know intellectually that money can do good things. So I also think
Mm-hmm.
it's like a subconscious thing that we have to let go of, even though I read the books. It's like, so how do I do it?
I know it's kind of hard, right? I was thinking about that like through the years. Like, of course, a lot of people are like, I read the books, but I still just can't get past it, right? And maybe it's like a combination of things because I will also link in the show notes some women that I've had on a podcast that talk about money, from the frugal feminista to the finance bar to Latasha, who was on not too long ago. But also on TikTok, I follow money lawyer Erica, who gives tips on like how do you get your full refund when your flight is canceled and things like that. And the bougie banker, who talks about investments. But I think also following people and surrounding myself with people who have a positive money mindset, and they are showing me and telling me about what can happen if I do make smart investments or smart money moves. I think that just helps reinforce that whole money mindset that I need to be smart about my money, because if I bring more money in and don't carry a lot of debt, that I'm going to be able to live a richer life. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's the people you surround yourself with, the people you're following on the social media, the type of books that you're reading, and then really just saying, I want to make a conscious effort to change my money mindset around money.
So what I'm hearing is you're planning to make more trips to Virginia Beach so that I can surround myself with people with great mindsets. That's what I pulled out of that last bit of statement that you had.
Nice. I'm sending my virtual money mindset vibes to you.
Okay. Can I go? Let's go back and give the people a definition of financial wellness.
Yeah, let's do that. And then yeah, we could get into some tips. I can't wait to dig into some tips. So yeah, so what is the definition we're using for financial wellness?
Okay, so this is according to the U.S. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
Mm.
Financial wellness is a state of being in which you can fully meet your current and future financial obligations while feeling secure in your financial future and making choices that allow you to enjoy life. I like that.
I like that too.
That was nice.
That was real nice. I'll make sure to include that in the show notes. But that kind of goes towards like when you are conscious about how you spend your money and what your kind of money plan is, you do just live a richer life. And it doesn't mean that you need to be rich. So I want to make that clear too. Like, you don't need to be a millionaire to have financial wellness. You just need to make smart money decisions and have a good money mindset in order to have financial wellness.
I want my students to be millionaires.
I
It's
mean, it would
like
all be awesome.
this financial climate that we're in right now, it really has shaken a lot of people up because we just
Hmm.
weren't prepared for it. So nobody wants to live under that pressure. So I think we should all aspire. There's a lot,
Yeah.
there's, if we're thinking woo woo, there's enough for everybody out here.
I always tell people, I have a friend that makes fun of me because I always say there's money to be made out in these streets. But there is, and there is a lot of cash out here, and we deserve to get paid for what we do. And that's it, that's all. If you want to volunteer for things, that's great too. But you also deserve to get paid for your services. But let's get into some tips, like how people can start to improve their financial wellness. And I'm going to give these pretty fast, but they're going to be in the show notes. And these are going to be for people. Some may apply for people in their 20s, some in the 30s, some in the 40s, or all three. It just really depends on where you are in your financial situation. But these are tips that I've provided to people. And actually, through the years, I've helped several people, even though I'm not a financial advisor, get out of debt because I love a good plan. And so when people let me dig into their finances and then I tell them like what to do every month, and if they actually do it, they get out of debt. They're able to buy houses and what have you. And that's, before I get into tips, along with mindset is willpower. Having the willpower to say no to unnecessary purchases, like willpower to stay true to the plan that you have set up. I would also say determination to make your financial goals. So remember, a lot of it is, yes, it's having the job, making the right choices, but a lot of it is just starting right here in our brain. You know, really how we think about things and the choices that we make that allow us to get us to where we need to be. Okay, so first thing first, I always have people go to annualcreditreport.com. It's free. You get a free report every year. Why not know what your financial situation is? People used to make fun of me too, but throughout my adult life, if I dated someone and we got serious, they would need to show me their credit report. Never marry someone if you've never seen their credit report. I'm just going to put that out there.
Ooh,
People might dispute that, but you got to know what you're getting. You got to know what you're getting. I'm not saying that you can't marry somebody with bad credit. I'm just saying be smart. Right?
absolutely.
But, right?
Hmm.
But anyway, just for your personal self, like, you need to know what's on your credit report. And if anything is incorrect, you could dispute it. And it also lets you know what things might give you an indicator of what things you need to tackle first. If you have a medical bill that you didn't even realize was on there, you could call like that company, maybe negotiate the payment and then pay that off. So then that can eventually fall off your credit report. So there's a lot of things out there about how to clean up your credit report. I am not going to go deep into it, but I can speak with authority because I have and I always put this caveat out there. I'm not like trying to be braggy, but A1 credit. And I worked super hard for it. I'm very proud of it because when you need to buy a house, a car, or what have you, it impacts the interest rates you get. It's
Yeah,
super
it
important.
costs money to be poor. It costs
Yes.
more money to be
Yes.
poor. All the extra fees and it just costs a lot. So
Right, because even if you're not making six figures and so forth, if you have bad credit, regardless if you're making 30,000 or 250,000, you going to pay. So okay, that. And then also I have people, so in the Life Plans Journal, I have a whole finance section, plug, but it's important to have like financial goals and plans. And LaKaye and I will kind of chat about what we want to do in 2023. But you need to know what you're working for because I feel like that helps you stay motivated. Okay, and so another thing too, and I know this is a hard one because everybody is in a different situation, but if you can save 3 to 6 months of expenses because you just never know, like if something medical comes up, if your car is going to break, it's really important to do that. And so I know I read one book and it says save 10% of your salary and invest 20% of it. And so you could do the numbers on that, but I'm a big believer in that. And one I announced on the last or second or one of the episodes that I just purchased a house, and I was able to purchase a house because of my aggressive saving habits. So I was able to put a really large down payment on the house. And I did that because I paid off my car, 10 years ago. And what I did, I haven't gotten a new car since, but I kept paying myself as if I was paying the car. And I put it into a money market account, which is a higher yield savings account. And as my salary increased, I also just increased that payment that was going into that money market account. And so I didn't miss it because I was already paying the car note, right? And then as I increased it gradually, it didn't really hurt that much either. And what I would have my bank, as soon as my check hit, it would automatically take that amount of money out and put it in the money market. So I never could touch it. I never even saw it. It was like instantaneous. And through the years, over a decade, right, it allowed me to save that. And so start small. It could be $20 every time you get paid, and then you change it to 100, and 100 turns to 200. But try to save a little bit.
yes. I mean, well, I will say I did just pay off my car.
Woo woo!
So I do plan to put that into practice where I just take that payment and stack it away. So we'll see how it goes. I am knocking on all the woods that my car will also last another 10 years. That would be fantastic to put that amount every way.
But here's the thing, LaKaye, and I'm going to challenge you and I'm going to make a note of this so I can ask you this 6 months from now.
Oh.
But pretend as if you still have to pay that car note.
No, I said
right?
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do that.
No. But I mean, I'm for real. Like where you actually do it and automate it. Okay?
Michelle, you think I haven't been listening all of this time? Of course I've been listening. Of course I'm going to automate it.
Okay. You hear this, people. This is on record. Okay. So some other things. Contribute to a 401k or some kind of Roth IRA or whatever. You can look online or whatever. Even if you're in your 40s and you haven't invested in anything, you should start investing in your 60s, 70s. You will regret it if you haven't, and it's never too late. Also, I'll try to find a link and put it in the show notes, but a lot of times people have bounced around to multiple jobs and they don't even realize they have all these little IRAs and 401ks at all these different places. So there's a way to check. So then you can figure out what you have, and you can talk to someone about what you should do. Should you roll it up to kind of like a Roth IRA or what have you? But my whole point here is just make sure you are thinking about retirement. It is not too late. You do not want to be working into your 80s unless you choose to. Okay?
Yeah, that's super important. So that is very timely for me because I witnessed my mom didn't have a big savings. She had some money set aside, but the way they treat elderly people when it comes to services and things is just not right. It's not
Mm.
cool. So
Mm-hmm.
had she be in a position to take care of her own finances and put her in a very nice, beautiful nursing home or whatever, that would have been great, but we didn't have that opportunity. So it also, if you can't think about doing it for yourself, if you have children, maybe think about putting your retirement away so that you don't have to overload your children. So you have options when you do get to a certain age. And that's just a fact of life.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we all aspire to get to that advanced age. So we have to prepare for what it's going to look like when we do get there.
Listen to her, people. Listen, listen, listen. I've already talked about books, so educating yourself and following people on social media. We'll give you a whole bunch of links for people that we like and books that we think are useful. Also, track your expenses. I use Quicken. That usually is a little too involved for most people, which I get. But they got Mint. I mean, there's just so many apps and things out here. The point is, track your expenses and know where your money is going. And I'll tell you, I learned this. Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I have a quick question about these apps because I know you're a super tech nerd, whatever. Do you feel safe signing up for certain apps? Are there certain ones that you feel safe putting your financial information in versus how do you know which ones are safe to do and which ones aren't?
Yeah, I mean, so I did research on this a long time ago because, I was wondering, I was like, I've been with Quicken for so long. I wonder if I should go somewhere else. And there was another one that I looked at, but it's about, I'll see if I can find an article and put it in the show notes, but it's about like encryption and how they save and protect your data. And so the majority of apps out here meet whatever those requirements are. I can't think of it offhand, but I know Quicken does, and I also know Mint does, and I think what's the other popular one that people love?
You need a budget.
Yes, you need a budget. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on it, but I think that one kind of meets all like the specs too. I'll try to find an article just so you know what to look for to make sure that they encrypt your data a certain kind of way. But a lot of them are just kind of like banks, right? Because banks also have to have like special protections for your data. And so if they're kind of meeting the same standards as like the bank you're with, then usually you should be safe. But I'll try to put some notes in the show notes about that.
Well, that's good to know because I feel like there's a new fancy money management app that pops up every 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a lot of bad scammers out there too. So I don't want to get caught up and choose the wrong one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but that's good to know that there's some kind of regulation.
There is. I can't think of it all offhand, but I will find it. But I'm pretty sure and confident you need a budget. And Mint, and I think Mint might have is maybe part of Quicken right now. I can't remember, but those are tried and true.
Okay.
If you go with another one, just do your research. You do your research in general, right? But I have some folks like Monique Malcolm who's been on here. She swears by you need a budget. I want to say she's one of the super fans. And I've had some other people who really love Mint. I'm like the only one who loves Quicken because Quicken takes a little bit more work where you're reconciling and
I'm not surprised.
tags.
I'm not surprised at all.
There's like a desktop version. I got the app. Like it's a whole thing.
You said it's
But
more complicated, it takes more work. It sounds a lot like another famous app that you love.
no. But I feel like it's really important. And I was taught that at a young age. Like my mom in high school taught me how to old school do the checkbook where you do the registrar. And then in my 20s, my grandmother actually was on Quicken. And when I saw her using Quicken, that made me use Quicken. So if my grandma can use Quicken.
They didn't have options then. They didn't have computers then. Oh, I love your grandma. Don't tell her I said that.
Oh, I'm going to play this for her. But however you choose to do it, some people still do have like a budget book. You can do that too. I do prefer it digitally because then you can manipulate your data. So even if you keep your stuff in an Excel sheet or what have you, just as long as somehow you are tracking your expenses. Like every month, I know what I spend on food, gas, Amazon, like all the things. And I think it's really important, especially like when you need to cut, you know where you need to cut. And if you feel like, man, I don't really have any money left, when you go back and dissect like your app or whatever your expenses, then you know exactly where maybe you went wrong. So track. And then also on, I would just say there are some people out there who haven't built credit yet. Like they've never had a credit card, they have no credit, like for whatever reason, there's multiple reasons. I'm not going to go into all of them now, but I'll just say do your research on credit builders. Like I think Chime has something where it's called like the Chime Builder, where you could build your credit. Like someone I was helping to build their credit ended up using Chime. So over the course of several years, their credit score has gone up. And now they have like credit that actually the credit report bureaus can like use. And so if you don't have credit right now, you can build credit. And there's some very legit ways to do that. And a couple of other quick tips when it comes to bills. One, pay your bills on time. Always pay your bills on time. Always pay your bills on time. Pay your bills, pay yourself. Pay your bills on time, because as soon as things start getting late, they get put onto your credit report. I mean, it's just a slippery slope. So don't go out dining and this and that when you know you have a Verizon bill due. Pay your bill. And if you need to automate it, automate it. Just make sure you're tracking your expenses, because sometimes automation can go wrong, right? Somebody can misbill you. And then I would say negotiate your bills too. So even I'm about to buy, well, I just bought a house actually the week we're recording this. And so I'm going to be on a super tight budget now. And so I was like, I'll be calling like Verizon, AT&T, like, look, I'm on a tight budget. I'm not sure, I might have to leave your company. Is there anything y'all can do for me before I make this move? And you'll be surprised. They work with you. They don't want to lose your business.
Did any of them take you up on that?
Oh yeah. And I do this every couple of years too. So even earlier this year, AT&T, I was like, why am I paying all this money for this AT&T? I'm a longtime customer and I pay my bill every day on time for over a decade. I've been with them. So I called them. I was like, I need y'all to do something for me. Because this is just too much. And I was like, I need to know if there's something you could do before I look elsewhere. And they went down like $20. And over a course of a year, that's significant.
Yeah, I think people think that once you make a certain amount of money, that you don't have to budget anymore. So even at $20, you have counted it and put it somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care how much money you make. You can make $250,000, $300,000. You need to still care about where your money is going. And you still don't overpay just to overpay. You still need to be thoughtful, you know. And I think there's a balance, because there are some people who have more of a frugal mindset. And then there's some people who have an abundance mindset where they just pay and overpay for stuff. But you need to kind of be like right in the middle, you know. And so regardless of where you are, always negotiate your bills and make sure that you're paying a fair amount. And then the last thing I will say on things to consider is have life insurance or disability insurance. It makes a difference. Like even going back to what you were saying earlier, LaKaye, you just never know. You get to a certain season of life, like what you might need, and it'll help you and your family, regardless if you have kids or married or not. That life insurance or disability insurance that you invest in could really be no pun intended, a lifesaver.
Wow. Inappropriate, Nache.
I know.
Way inappropriate.
So, okay, let's end the episode with some financial
I have something to say.
Oh, yes.
I was waiting because you had all of these good tips. But I want to talk a little bit about the emotion that's involved in money. So here's the thing that I think some people in your listening audience might fall into this category of money can have a lot of shame built around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're feeling that intense amount of shame, then you are not wanting to open your emails or check your banking account because ain't no money in there. So
Mm-hmm.
I think what is really important is you have to face these challenges head on, and you have to remove the emotion out of it so that you can do the things that you need to do in order to get to where you want to go. Because, like we said earlier, yes, we were talking about wealthy people, and the money does not have emotion if you have a lot of it, but it also doesn't have emotion if you don't have a lot of it. It just is what it is. So you have to face what's there. You really have to take a look at really what's coming in, even if it's not a lot. You really have to take a look at what's going out. I also think that some of the money advice that comes in, I was always talking about maybe you're spending too much money or maybe you're going out too much. But I think some of the challenge is for some people, and I fall into this category, I'll just go ahead and put myself out there, is you have to concentrate on making more. So I don't have poor spending habits. I need to bring in more. And so what that looks like for an entrepreneur is you have to charge the amount of money that you need to charge in order to actually have a livable wage. Now that's a whole other episode.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just take photographers for example. I grew up in the age of my first job as a photographer was working in the Walmart and Kmart portrait studio, where the advertisement was you spend $1.95, you're going to get 110 pictures. Anybody remember that? With the little,
Mm-hmm.
that was me. That was my job to get you in there for that $1.95 picture. And we were trained to have those pictures. And maybe I might have sold it was a good day for me if I sold a package that was $100.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I trained that way in my head for years. And then when I became a professional photographer, instead of paying myself a livable wage, I'm trying to keep up with the Walmarts and the J.C. Penney's where you're paying $5 for a 5x7. You can't make any money like that. So instead of looking at your surrounding competition or whatever, you have to take a look at your real numbers, how much you want to make versus how much you're actually charging. So if you if you're only charging $50 per session or whatever, how many sessions is that going to take for you to get $100,000 a year? And that's not even including your taxes and everything else you have to do. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's also another mindset shift that I just recently made that a couple of years ago because I'm just trying to keep up with everybody else. We have $100 and you get a CD of 150 images. You can't make money like that. But
Mm-hmm.
because of all of the emotion that may or may not be tied to that financial decision, then you're looking at it like, oh, well, I shouldn't charge this because people are going to look at me a certain way. But that's really the shame and the emotion talking. It's not facts. The facts are
Mm-hmm.
you deserve to buy a house, you deserve to have insurance, you deserve all of the things that other people are making when they work for another company. Why don't you work for it for yourself? So I had to put that in there because I think if you have creative entrepreneurs who are also listening to this, we don't have steady incomes coming in. We have to provide that for ourselves. I don't have a 401k. I have to pay my own insurance. So I have to adjust my pricing structure in order to support the things that I need for myself and my family. And not just need, we deserve to have in abundance. This is what you told me the other day. I think I said something that these are the things that I need. You said plus some. You need that and plus more. I don't remember what we were talking about, but it was like think bigger. So I would like to take a fancy vacation. I would like to take my daughter to Paris, but I can't do that if I'm charging below what I need to make. And that's based on real numbers, hard numbers. Okay, I'm done.
I think that is important for people to hear. And I love that you kind of talked from that entrepreneur perspective, right? And I think, well, I'll say a couple things. One, yes, people have to get over that shame. And I'll tell you, even though I'm in a better place now, in my 20s, there were times where I would be in line at the grocery store and I would hope that my card would go through, right? And I wouldn't have to put anything back. So I just want to, I get it. I totally get it. How there were times where I'm like, I remember my car broke down. I had to buy a new car and I wasn't really making any money. And I'm just like, ugh, how am I going to pay this car note? Right. And so don't be ashamed. Use that to fuel your desire and, determination in order to get to where you need to be, because that's what I did. I was just like, this is not going to be my forever. And I got to figure out what I need to do in order to do it. And I think I've mentioned before, I'm half Jamaican. My dad's from Montego Bay. And so there's like a joke, probably an inappropriate joke, about how Jamaicans got 5 jobs, man.
You always have.
I always. And in the beginning, it was vital, right? Like I had to find ways in order to make extra money in order to keep afloat, so I could pay my car payment, so I could go to the grocery store without fear. And yes, like that was a hustle, but I had to. And so sometimes you have to do what you need to do in order to get to where you need to be. But just trust me, if you have a plan and you know where you want to be and you stick with your plan and you work hard, like you can get there. Don't feel ashamed of where you are now. Focus on where you want to be and don't be afraid to like ask for help and advice, and you will get there. You will get there. So I'm glad you mentioned that part, and I'm glad you just mentioned just the entrepreneurial freelance part too. Okay, let's just wrap up with our 2023 financial goals. So I will say, just keeping it short and sweet, because I know that LaKaye and I will probably have a whole other episode about our 2023 plans, of course. But when it comes to money, I mentioned that I just bought a house. So this is, and again, I always try to say this is not a flex because people have some weird money mindsets. I just believe in speaking my truth and talking about my past so it can help you when it comes to making money, and so you can see that this Black girl from the south side of Chicago that didn't grow up with much was able to change her money mindset and do some things as an adult. But I just bought my 3rd house in my 20s by myself. I bought a townhome style condo, which was huge, right? Because I was still in debt at that time, but I did make some financial choices in order to allow me to buy that first home. Sold it, then bought a single family home with my now ex-husband. And in 2020, I sold that house, and I've been renting for the last 3 years. And I did a lot of soul searching, going back to the life cleanse journal. You got to ask yourself questions about what you want and what you need. And what I decided is that I did want to invest again in property, because I already do invest in my 401k. I invest in Fidelity, like the S&P 500 type stuff. And I also dabble with Elvest and Fundrise. So I'll link those in the show notes. But I was like, you know what? Even though I'm investing in all these other things, I think I want to do a property, and I want to do a property, which is tricky because sometimes people can feel stuck, right? Once you buy a property, and I never want to feel stuck. I always want to feel like I can up and go when I need to. But I felt like for the season in my life right now, and for the things I want to do creatively, I needed to get out of an apartment. So I either could have got a bigger apartment, rented a townhome, or just buy. And for my financial situation right now, it just made sense for me to invest and buy. So with that said, I have purchased a home in DC that is right at the top of the budget that I would be comfortable with. And the interest rates just happened to go up at the same time I finally found a place, because I've been looking for the last 6 months or so, but that's okay. Timing is a mother. There was good things and bad things about that. But because it's a lot more than what I anticipated, that means I don't have the discretionary funds that I used to have, and I have to be on a super tight budget, which is worth it to me. But now I'm in a place where I need to make that extra money so I can fix up the house. And LaKaye and I, we're having a battle of the houses if you listen to our last episode. So we both need to make extra money just so we can fix up our houses. But then also so I could travel and do other things and continue to save aggressively, right? And I can't do that until I figure that part out. So I'm hoping to really come up with a good strategy for making money with NacheSnow.com, dreamsplans.com, and potentially even creativeroute.com. And the last thing that I want to commit to in 2023 is I want to consult an estate attorney, because I just want someone else to look at my current financial situation and let me know if everything is good. And I want to make sure that my health directive, my will, and all of that is set up. So that's
Are also to increase the amount of discretionary funds that I have. But I think for me, the financial piece is holistic in terms of all of the goals that I have.
mm,
Because in order
mm.
for me to reach those goals, I have to also reach my marketing goals, which also means I have to hit all these other things too. So mine is very much to me tied into my business and what I need to do to increase myself visually to attract more clients that are attracted to my business model and are attracted to who value the type of photography I do and who will value the amount that I charge for what I do. So I think part of my goal, I have specific numbers and I have specific things that I've done. I've created the spreadsheets that Nache told me to create. I've done all the things almost that Nache has told me to do. Just almost. Just at times it's hard, Nache, but I'm doing it. I'm working through it little by little. But for me, mine is more mindset focused. I want to be more comfortable stating my prices and commanding the prices that I want to have and networking with the people who value what I do.
Perfect. Well, I hope you guys found this helpful. I think both LaKaye and I, we really want women to take control of their finances and really figure out how to get to where they want to be so you can live that good financial wellness life. Because I'm telling you, my friends, especially when it comes to getting debt free, I've been debt free for 12, 13 years. I don't even know. But it is like a weight. It is a weight that has been lifted off of you. And once you get to that point, and when you have a little nest egg of saving, that's another weight lifted off of you, right? And when you can purchase things without having to second guess yourself, even though you're still making sure it's smart choices, that also feels really good. And that is less stress, and less stress is better health. And so our goal for this episode is to make sure that you take your financial wellness as seriously as you take all the other wellness categories, especially health, right? Just making sure that you're taking care of yourself, because they're all intertwined. And this one is a big one, and it is a huge mindset shift. But when you get it right, man, it feels good, people. I felt like I was about to sing that song, like, man, it feels good to be a gangster.
I mean, you are a gangster though. You're a financial gangster. Get that on the shirt. Financial gangster. Wealthy gangster. I don't know. That has a different ring to it.
And one last thing I'll say is, when you say wealthy gangster, I think it goes back to something LaKaye said at the beginning of the episode. You do not have to make a ton of money to be and feel wealthy, because there are people who are millionaires that are broke. You got to remember that. Millionaires who are broke because they have overextended themselves. So they can have millions of dollars coming in, but they're spending also over $1 million, right? So they're always underwater. And then you can have someone else that's making $60,000 a year, able to buy a house and live rich. So anywho, I'll leave you with that. LaKaye, please tell people where they can find you and any special packages that they should know about.
My website is www.lakayeumba.com, and I can be found at LaKaye Umba Photo on Instagram, and I'm active on my Facebook account again. So that is Photography by LaKaye. And right now, Nache, I'm moving into a season. I just finished a holiday mini session promotion, which is happening in a couple of weeks, which is going to be great. I had a lot of good feedback. My first time doing it, so I'm excited about that. So next year, I'm going to kick off the 40 over 40 again and really actually promote it like I'm supposed to. So you can look for some of those promotions, and I would love to have your listeners take part in that. So yeah, we'll talk more about that in the upcoming year.
Yay! As always, you can find all the things that we've talked about and some things that we didn't get into, but I'll have articles, social links to amazing people, books that we love, all the things on the show note page at nachesnow.com/157. nachesnow.com/157. Also, I'm waiting for the first person to leave us a speak pipe message. I mentioned that on my, I don't know if I've really talked to you about this, LaKaye.
I don't know what you're talking
On my
about.
last podcast, I used to have a little widget on the website where people can leave voice messages. And then you can, if you so choose, to play them on the podcast. So I now have that on the website for people to use so they can just say like, hey, just wanted to say hello, or they can ask us a question or whatever.
Ooh, Nache, I think this is a great opportunity to ask your listeners to answer a question.
Okay.
So why don't we have them leave you a voice message that answers what is your main financial goal for 2023?
Ooh, yes. Okay, so you heard that, folks. For a chance to be on the podcast, put it out there, and the next time we get together, we'll listen to your message and respond to your question or the answer to the question. So, what is your main financial goal for 2023? There will be a speak pipe button right in the episode show notes, so just go right there, click on it, it'll ask you some questions, and then you just record. You could do it from your phone, you could do it from your computer, and then we'll get the voicemail.
Ooh,
I'm
I love it.
excited.
I love this idea.
I'm waiting for our first one. No one
Can I
has
do
done
one?
it.
I'm gonna press the button. You need to hear more
I
from me.
mean, we need one person to do it, and I'm gonna just call Sarah out again because I know she's listening. Sarah, be our first one. Leave us a voicemail. What is your financial goal?
Yay, Sarah.
But no, seriously, folks, someone leave us a message. Okay, so that's a wrap, folks. As always, also go over to dreamsplansideas.com, the life cleanse journal that I mentioned to you that helps you think about what your priorities are. When I tell you guys, seriously, I really do ask myself these questions so I know what to focus on. There's a digital version and a hard copy version that I can mail to you or a friend to a gift. So check it out, dreamsplansideas.com. If you love this episode and thought it was super helpful, share with a friend because sharing is caring, my friends. Apple Podcasts, rate us 5 stars. If you're listening on YouTube or watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. And wherever you're listening, watching, what have you, please subscribe. All right, folks, until next time. Bye.